my colleague was pinging me like why there's like weird sounds coming out of the space. I was telling her that it was working well. It's just that we were playing with it because like, we didn't have music, so we have to entertain everyone. But Johnny, you know what? It's only 1 minute away. We don't have to be embarrassed anymore.
Okay, I'm here.
It's fine. Um,
Thank you for music. I'm really embarrassing now.
it's Okay, my colleague told me this is too much, but a good thing that I would like to inform everyone is that we came to UTC 12 p.m. We can start the space. We don't have to be embarrassed anymore. Awesome. So before we start the space, as usual, I will talk about the giveaway rules so that people know what they're entering for. So for today, we have Gas Hero Common NFT giveaway, and then people would have to like, retweet, and follow Gas Hero, as well as join Twitter Space Live, and comment with your Gas Hero strategy in order to be eligible for raffling around the three winners of the Gas Hero NFTs. So definitely, make sure that you have done all of the above. You can also find all the requirement in the link of the original AMA. All right. I wanted to ask, like, how do you feel, Johnny? I've seen a lot of people feeling very excited and said that they are completely mind blown about the latest part of white paper. How do you feel?
Yeah. After the part five released, I stay in the Discord and watching our community to talk about it. And I felt everyone is very happy with that, with the new part of the white paper, and exciting about the income part. And so they even created some words to say is the leader to earn, right? It's very funny, and but I think the more I want to see is after we after we impressed by the income part, we can have some deep thinking about the strategy of the this really Web3 social structure. That's what I want to see, and maybe we can talk about it later and more.
All right, all right. So for today's AMA, I actually did not want Johnny to repeat too much about what we've already included inside the white paper, but rather I wanted Johnny to focus more on the imagination and speculation part. So definitely follow what I'm asking, and I think you might feel very excited about this AMA. So I'm gonna start for now. So this month we have come to a crucial chapter, which is about power. And we mentioned early on that a major design core of Gas Hero revolves around impossible triangle of glory, power, and wealth, meaning that players have to strategize between these three elements. Although this part of the update is not very lengthy in terms of words, but the content that can be expanded upon is incredibly rich. So let's definitely unpack this chapter for our audience. So, like, I think let's talk about the composition of the power structure first, because I think that's very fundamental. The leaders at the clan and the guilds levels, as we mentioned in the previous AMAs, are determined by the damage output and points earned in battles. Within a district, the leader is automatically the one with the highest strength among all the guilds. However, at city level, a leader is chosen by votes, the city mayors. So for leaders at the clan and the guild levels, their authority includes initiating adventures, and then city level leaders also have the authority to expand districts. So these powers are closely related to the income of the leaders, but at the first glance, it seems that the district reps only have the authority to change names, making them appear to be the weakest in terms of power. So, in terms of the difficulty of being elected, I felt that it's much easier for district rep to be chosen compared to the other levels. So they just need to ensure that, aren't any underperforming players in their entire guild to maintain a relatively high overall guild strength. However, it doesn't seem that they need to put in much additional effort. So, is that because, Johnny, I want to ask you, is that because the challenges faced at the district rep level are not as significant? So, the authority granted is correspondingly less.
Oh, wow. Okay. First of all, yeah, I'm a little sick about my throat and nose now, and I try to pronunciation better and to let everyone can understand what I'm saying. Yeah, I think it's been another month that we last met, and I'm really miss you all so much, and glad to talk about you with you, Mabel, again. And as you mentioned, the chapter isn't very long, and it's only a few words, especially compared with the part four, right? And I believe all of our community friends won't have to memorize numbers like in chapter four and to participate in the Discord quiz event. But although the part five is short, it can generate more strategic depth when it's coupled with the previous chapters. And Mabel and I have really brainstormed a lot on this ourselves. Now I think it's up to all of you to build upon it. Uh, okay. When it comes to the power part, it boils down to three things. First is how to choose someone to raise into power. And second is the power's authority. The third is the balance between the cost and the reward. And the selection process is just as Mabel summarized. At the clan and guild levels, it's based on combat capability. But at higher levels like districts, cities, and world, it becomes more about social game elements. As we've often mentioned, Gas Hero aims to be a large-scale social simulation. So, naturally, the rules must mirror reality. That's the starting point of our multi-layered selection mechanism. Mabel pointed out an interesting aspect. District leaders seem to have fewer responsibilities and appear to be elected more easily. We designed that district reps are chosen from the guild leaders based on the overall strength of the guilds. It may sound easy, but that's not the case. Enhancing a guild's strength is actually a very tough task, much like boosting the economy of the region in real life. Therefore, when someone becomes a district rep, we want them to have the more relaxed experience to aspire for a mayorship, going one level further. Some might argue that this can make the experience of the district rep boring, but I believe it won't be. Whenever there are people, there are dynamics and the challenges. Even if the roles and responsibilities seem limited now, they can be expanded in the future through our community co-creation, right?
Yeah, so I wanna I wanna iterate this a little bit more for the community. So I think what Johnny was saying is that for people who thought district rep, that's like not very powerful or they don't have much to do, it's actually up to you guys. Maybe you can come up with something very interesting to, have the district rep to do. Like there's a lot of things that are outside of the white paper that it's up to the community to define. So I think that's also the interesting part of this. So, Johnny, in your imagination, what types and backgrounds of the players are the best suited to pursue the various level of power? What factors would a mayor consider when deciding to add another district in the city, for example?
Okay, I think this is related to the number of players at each level. There are only 9 players in the clan and 81 players in the guild. The size of these groups correspond to a social scale of being intimate and familiar. At higher levels, the number of players has uh, reached hundreds, and the social scales for strangers. And therefore, in the Internet clan, electing based on low-intensity boss challenge, damage rankings is appreciated. Uh, 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 Everyone can be relaxed and compete casually. It's all in good fun. But in the guild level, where everyone is familiar, the clan leaders represent both their own strengths and the strengths of their clan. The selection mechanism here becomes direct player versus player. I believe this slight I believe this slight sense of honor and duty will motivate some players to pursue the power. And when you reach to the districts, cities, and world levels, people no longer know each other. There's no emotional connection among everyone. There is just the real competition of power. And this competition is no longer about the player himself or herself. It's about the people and the power behind the player. These 3 levels focus on political achievements, public sentiment, and capital. I think this is the background for the ambitions and the policies. As for the mayor's decision to expand districts, I see it as a pursuit rather than a choice. If the population density of the district in the city reaches 85%, then you can spend only 100 GMT to open the new district to welcome over 700 new residents moving to that city. From the reward perspective, it's definitely worth it.
Wow, you are truly a truly a master of humanity. You're basically tricking everyone to become the city mayor and then expand their district. And although the cost of expanding a district isn't very high, but obviously there's a lot more responsibility that's associated with it. You did not mention. So yeah, like let's definitely look forward to it. I think what you just talked about in terms of the familiar part, which is like for the guild, and also the intimate part for the clan, and also strangers. That's very interesting. I think that's kind of like also what happened in our real life as well. Um, and we often say that Gas Hero is a large scale social simulation experiment. From the white paper, we can see the leadership at district level and below, including the district itself, compared to the leadership at city and world level, are competing for completely different things. Um, is there any inspiration comparable in our real life? I was actually very curious about your answer of this one, Johnny.
Okay. During the design process, I actually reflected on our life. Um, when we were young, I mean, is we are kids age. Uh, the fights among the brothers and sisters were similar to the relationships within the clan. Perhaps just because one kid, could jump the highest and reach a leaf, he or her. will become the kids leader among all of us. And when we growing to a bit older and entering school, a class of students would need to go through strict exams for advancement and classification. This competition is both fair and brutal, and growing up even more and entering big companies, people began to work on projects. Nobody would care anymore if you could jump high to touch a lift, nor would people care about your exam scores. Everything began to revolve around the performance of the project you work on. This is essentially about track records. It tests management skills, HR decisions, and strategic planning. The world beyond that can only be speculated through watching our real life. This is why I mentioned the importance of public sentiment and capital. There's a similar design was implemented for the city mayor and the ward elder levels. I hope it will resonate with the reality.
That's super interesting. I actually never thought about our life in this way, but it totally makes sense, I think, especially on the point about like, your clan is like people who you kind of grew up with, you compete, but really it's like collaboration and compete. And then later on, you are in a larger scale of setting where you're competing with other people with your exams, the scores, and this and that. Like those people are who you're familiar with but you don't necessarily feel that intimate with, but then like later on in the adult setting life, obviously you only get to think about like it's more like result driven, so that's more like in district and city level. So I thought that's like a very interesting comparison. Appreciate the answer, Johnny. So and then I think looks like the leadership positions at each level would potentially be vacant. I actually thought that was kind of interesting because I never thought of that, but then you told me that it is possible. So, could you briefly explain to everyone under what circumstances the leaders at each level might be absent, Johnny?
Yes, there really can be vacancies or partial vacancies, like fewer than 7 ward elders. For the real city without population, without strength, without trading, without manufacturing, there is no ground for power and glory. And in in our game, in the clan, if everyone doesn't fight the clan boss, and there will be no clan chief. And in the guild, if the clan chiefs don't sign up for the battles in the arena, then there will be no guild master. There will be no district rep, only one. A district has no guild masters, right? And in the city, if the city has neither district rep nor existing mayors accepting the votes, then there will be no city mayor. And if there is no city mayor making political donations during the election time, there will be no ward elders. But will all this happen? Of course, I think it is impossible. So when we launch the game, we will only open 15 cities to ensure the population density. Other cities will gradually be opened until all cities are available.
I think you said, "Will this happen?" And you said, "Of course, it's impossible." But I think you meant to say it's possible, right?
Sorry, yeah,
All right, it's fine. Yeah, I think what you said was quite convoluted, but it's all good. I think we will have a summary later on, so don't worry, everyone. Today both Johnny and I were a little bit sick, so apologies. Another question, Johnny. I saw a particular emphasis that at the guild level, a guild master can use the move item to kick people out? I think this is like a very interesting question that we keep coming back. But it seems like at the clan level, you cannot use the move item and kick people out. So, if one is a mayor or a district rep, can they directly choose to kick the members from another district within the same city or members from another guild within the same district? Yeah, I know I already asked this question last time, but I still wanted to ask again.
Okay, no worry. And okay, when we designing the rules, there are often some, uh, I think it's very strict ideas, such as the notion that officials should be able to dismiss people within their jurisdiction. However, the design based on some first time might be always very good. Not be the best. And it also depends on the goal that we are trying to achieve. I think a guest hero is very neat to provide in-depth social experience. So even a linear design choice might lead to complex game theories and social skills. We discussed this kicking privilege back and forth, and finally decided on a very conservative approach, which is granting this power only to the guild master. And to dig a bit deeper into the thought process, if the clan chief wants to kick someone from their clan, he or she would need to ask the guild master for assistance. Even if a district rep wants to remove someone, he or she need the corresponding guild master to kick out. Once leaders from different levels start interacting, and they often are in competitive relationships, it can lead to an abundance of new scenarios. I can also share a little extra insight. In Guest Heroes chat system, I know it's an alpha, okay, nor. As everyone knows, there are five levels: the clan chat, the guild chat, district chat, city chat, and world chat. And in the district chat level, only the district rep, guild masters, and clan chiefs within that district, they can view and participate in that chat. The general citizens, without any leader roles, cannot see the content of this chat.
You're so sneaky. You're like forcing everyone to to social. That's you bad. But I think what's interesting that you mentioned is that you're kind of like forcing everyone to communicate, but at the same time, these people are not necessarily always collaborating with each other. Sometimes they're also competition. So I think the aspect of co-opetition inside Gas Hero is the most interesting, meaning it's collaborating but also competing at the same time for people who are in the same organization, but they're competing for the leadership role. So last time we discussed under what circumstances someone would be kicked out, right? And then Johnny, you gave me an answer that was like half jokingly, but in all likelihood, reasons for kicking someone out from from the guild aren't just due to like dissatisfaction or maybe odds account taking up spots or the need to invite a friend. There must be other reasons related to, real interest and benefits. So if I ask the same question again, Johnny, do you have a new answer to provide this time?
Yes, at this time, I think sure there is indeed a new answer. Yeah. In fact, if everyone digs deeper into the white paper today, many interesting ideas will emerge. And let me give you an example here. Suppose we are now the guild master, and we are looking forward to running for the position of the district rep. The rule is to compare the overall strengths of each guild. So what would we do? The most direct thought, I think, is to kick out inactive players and those with relatively low strengths, right? But the next step is to recruit some uh, more active and more stronger players. But here we face two questions. The first one is how to decide whom to kick. This might require some microsystems within the guild, and such as eliminating the lowest ranking members, or perhaps setting up the shared wallet as the guild's requiring members require. Sorry. Okay. Uh. Yeah. Okay. Go on. Go on. Sorry. My earphone. And to be the guild's warehouse, requiring members to contribute shared resources for distribution, etc. is only some examples. I mean, it all depends on the guild master's ability to design the mechanism for his own guild. And the second question is how to attract the stronger players. Although the communication skills are very powerful, these strong potential recruits might value the recruitment reward package even more. This again requires carefully consideration by the guild master.
Okay, now that you have talked about this, I think people who would want to be in the leadership position in guild will have to really use their brains and think about, how they design the rules. I think that's also very interesting because we've seen quite a few people who at least in the Japanese and Chinese communities, we've seen quite a lot of people started to organize their own guilds. So now maybe this is time to design some sort of more sophisticated rules for yourself so that you make sure, things are going to be in place and rather there's no, um, unexpected result that it would happen inside the guild. And Johnny, last time you also mentioned that the usage of the remaining tax revenue outside of the gas hero official tax and the royalty fees that goes to the Genesis hero designers could not be disclosed, but this time you definitely revealed it. So for someone who's in a leadership position to collect more taxes, they will surely want to simulate the GDP, encouraging people under their jurisdiction to engage in more transactions. So, what do you think they would do in order to achieve this goal?
Okay, so in fact, here you see on in the last question we talked about maybe every every guild the guild master need to create some guild rules to manage his guild, and maybe it can be called back to our first question. I mean that it seems the district reps don't have many things to do, but in fact, maybe he is very busy because he need to design the district rules to manage all the guilds, right? So, okay, let's call back to the questions here. So we are talking about how can a leader uh, uh, to light his jurisdiction with more GDP. Okay, we can possibly find the answer to this question from the real world scenarios. The local GDP depends on the following factors. And the first one is the prosperity of manufacturing industry and whether the manufacturing industry sector is thriving or not. And the second is the activity of the consumer market. How active, how active and vibrant the consumer market is. Yeah. And the second one is the price levels. and the level of prices for goods and services. These three factors. And from these three perspectives, we can look into the real world to find some answers. Local officers, maybe the guildmaster or the district reps or the mayors, even the elders. Yeah. They might use some economic politics uh, policies, to carry out some macroeconomic adjustments and boost manufacturing and to stimulate the consumer market. However, our main focus is still on the game and the mechanism design. The potential actions and behaviors within the game are up to the players to decide, and they will surely come up with scenarios far richer and diverse than we can imagine.
That's very interesting. So I felt like Gas Hero has always been following some sort of design principle where people can like they can follow the bone structure of what we've designed, but there's also a lot of like substructure they can design on their own and really leverage the power of communities and their own brain power to really grow the whole ecosystem and community. I think that's also like where sorry, why Gas Hero can be very fun for a lot of people. Coming back, so I'd say, like, from the perspective of election timeline, once someone misses a chance in the election for the clan chief, they seem to lose the opportunity to compete for higher power in the future. So, thus, the clan chief elections were divided into key elections and non-key elections. So, what's the intention behind such a design, Johnny?
Okay, that's a very good question, and I think you must read the parts of the white paper again and again to find this yeah to find this question
Thank
because
you.
you could yeah, thank you. And you see the election election of the world elders will be held every 32 days, but the clan chiefs election will be held only every 4 days. And so since the guest hero has a five-tiered and progressively advancing leader structures, the pace of the election means that the higher levels the mm, power structure is, the longer the interval between elections. Yeah. So this naturally results, what you said, in more frequent elections at lower levels, and there will be some key elections and non-key elections. And so, which one is the key election? I think it's an election where right after it, the next higher level election activity occurs. And throughout the entire election cycle, which is we said the 32 days, and there is a sequence of key elections leading up directly to the world elder election. And the starting point of this path is the first clan chief election of each election cycle. Therefore, if someone aims to secure the position of the first term world elder, the first clan chief election becomes an essential entry qualification. And in fact, this will be happen when the game launch in the I think okay, it's the third day. Third day.
I wanted to say Johnny is very sneaky again. I just cannot help that because basically what you're saying is that in order for someone to climb up the power ladder, if they are interested in that, they have to go through the whole cycle and cannot miss every single step. So every step matters. um, I feel like every step matters. This should be the new motto for stepping. I'm just kidding about that, but definitely something quite interesting to watch for people who are actually interested in going into the power structure. You make sure that you are, timed right at the spot for every single election and every single um, pivotal day. And coming to the district rep, a position that's kind of not as powerful. What methods do you think might a district rep adopt in order to attract votes?
Okay. Uh, First, okay, in the mayor election, yeah, and both the district reps and the existing mayor, they can ask for votes in the election, and all citizens of that city have the right to vote. And since I don't have much of a political brain, I can now think of many ways to ask for votes. Although I have seen many matters and in this afternoon in the community in Discord, and they have discussed, but I forget it. Oh yeah, sorry. So what I can think of this, I think is first is to try to place the guild masters in that city and to have their guild members votes. And the second may be to expand one's influence, such as hosting the Twitter spaces to get people to be in favor of you. Basically, uh, making yourself to be a KOL. I cannot think of any other methods now, so I will leave it to everyone to brainstorm.
I actually saw someone commenting, actually more than one person commented about, becoming a KOL and then you can get voted. I actually thought that was kind of questionable because I felt like people whose influence is on Twitter and some of the other social media, it may not necessarily extend to their power inside a game, but we'll see. I mean, I thought that would be very interesting to watch because I don't have an answer myself either. And then if a guild master, I wonder, wants to become a district rep, how can they maximize their overall strength of their guild? Because that's like the most pivotal thing for them to become a district rep.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Someone from the guild master to be a district rep. In fact, is the first time he need to use his social skills or the management skills because when he become the clan chief or become the guild master, he's just on his own to fight to pursue the result. Okay, and here the strength comes out to be a very important factor. And the total strength of a guild is the sum of the strengths of each guild member. So the strength of every guild member is crucial. To ensure the long-term development of the guild, trying to keep everyone's strengths relatively close might be a good strategy. In this way, everyone can gradually improve together, creating a comfortable experience and strengthening the bond among guild members as they play the game together. And it's essential to focus on both enhancing the combined capabilities and developing the home base. And attention should also be paid to hero lifespan to prevent the sudden drop in strength. But a more direct a way, I think, might be a replacement to kick out someone and to import someone. If a guild is bound by pure money, maybe they might adopt such a strategy. But I think most of the players now we saw in the community, they are bound by the friendships. So I think maybe yeah, leave to everyone to discuss.
That's a very dangerous claim. You're saying that people are bonded with friendship, but then, well, I'm not going to say anything else, but I hope it's not the case. But I think, when it comes to people who are bonded together with friendship versus people bonded with interest, I think people's behaviors are absolutely going to be very different. So definitely can look forward to. And I think you touch upon something that's like very interesting that I wanted to come back later, which is about people their strength should be very relatively balanced and then equal when they started off. But I'm gonna reserve that for now, and then I'll come back later for that one because it's all about in game self balancing. I do want to ask you another question. I felt like people probably would be interested. So, becoming the mayor of small cities costs a lot less, right? And when competing for the position of world elder, the difficulty or say the criteria is like the same as the other mayors. Would you say this is reasonable, Johnny?
Okay. Since the process of mayors competing for the world elder position considers the GMT political donation weight, it gives the impression that mayors from small and large cities they have the same competitiveness, uh, competitiveness, and I can fully understand this perception. However, even though the cost of being elected as a mayor from a small city might be lower, but their income or reward, I mean, is also lower. Since it's a small city with lower GDP, yeah, s- means the city's transaction volume is relatively less. And viewing it from this perspective, you will realize the check and balance.
All right, check and balance, check and balance. Like this is the ultimate core design principle of all kind of democracy, which I thought it was quite interesting. Um, and then coming up to what people would probably felt the most interested and curious about is the world elders election. I thought it was quite interesting because the voting has two stages. So this leaves a lot of room for strategic play and conservation of strength. So, Johnny, can you discuss why there's a need to vote twice with GMT and then selecting seven, well, hopefully seven out of 15 candidates?
Yeah, sure. Let me explain. Here, I think we took references from various national sport team selection procedures in different competitions. And generally speaking, in the national competition, there is a need to first screen out a broader list of qualified candidates. And then in the second stage, the starting lineup list is decided based on individual performance. And we have transformed these two selection processes into a donation strategic gameplay. And but one more thing I want to discuss is in the second stage, we know that the donation amount will be only the weight to be random. Yeah, and so we don't want to see someone who donated a very little GMT and to be the world elder. That will be really annoying. Yeah, so we have okay we luckily we have the first stage to uh, be sure that in the after the first stage the 15 candidates they have donated not very little, not very few amount of GMT, right? So in the second stage, which is the random stage, it will be uh, more fire and more fun.
I kind of wanted to make sure one thing that I think we are all aligned. This is not a randomized selection. It's based on probability. Hello? Did I lose it?
Okay, no.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Cool. So we basically transformed these two selection process into a donation strategic gameplay. Makes a lot of sense. And then I also noticed that in the section for leader election, it's emphasized that current mayors and world elders can continue to participate in the voting and nomination respectively. So, what advantage do the city mayor and world elders who are already in the leadership positions to have this in the setting, to have the continuity possibility?
Yeah, okay. The reason we added this mechanism is to give some high-powered players an opportunity for re-election, not necessarily an advantage. And in fact, everyone can let their imaginations run wild and brainstorm what might happen. In fact, it will be more fun. And I think this is the one of the funnest social aspects of Guest Hero.
Sorry, I didn't unmute myself. That's quite interesting. Although you said there's no advantage, but I actually felt like there's a lot more advantage. I think people who are in the position, just like United States presidential election, people who already been the president obviously have a lot more advantage. We don't have to expand that too much, but I think people who are familiar with that, they would know what I'm talking about. Um, and then
But sorry, but what I mean is maybe in some points you see if the uh, a mayor want to re-election in the mayor election, right? But all the district reps, nor they are seeing, they are watching. Oh, our mayor is on the election on the voted list. That's on fire. So who will be the enemy? If
Indeed. For sure, for sure.
yeah,
I think it's all balance, right? This is actually tied back to the next question I actually wanted to ask. But I kind of
okay.
wanted to add to what you said. I think it's check and balance, right? On the one hand, the person is more of a target, like he's becoming, an enemy of everyone else, while everyone who's not in the leadership position, they can just secretively become or try to get into the power. But on the other hand, more visibility also means like a lot more other votes can see this person and can vote for him, right? Because like he's known by more people. So then, like, respectively, that person can get, more votes. But yeah, I know it's endless. And I think this can be very interesting to watch. So I think all of these are just our imagination, but I only think, the reality of the actual voting can be very, very fun. Um, and I think what's related to this is that a few days ago, a pioneer asked us about like whether when one clan under one guild accumulates 25 times of adventure, the entire guild can go on an expedition. So the answer is yes, right? So like any of the guilds that accumulatively do 25 times of adventure, they can make the whole guild to be eligible for the expedition. Um, this actually made me think of one core design principle in Gas Hero, which is self-balancing, kind of going back to what I wanted to kind of cue you about, which is, the check and balance of a lot of things that you just mentioned earlier. So do you have anything else to expand on regarding this core principle?
Okay. Yes, thank you for cue back to this topic. And I always talk with you about the word self balancing. Yeah. Um, okay. Mm, let's come back to the
So,
to the
so I'm
questions
I'm a
topic.
good student. Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, thank you. So I've seen the community discussions on how to initiate group adventures more efficiently. And the obvious answer is to join the team early. And because the more people there are, and the higher the um, individual energy, and they will faster can trigger clan adventures, and because they need to consume 1,200 energy together, and it's better for everyone's energy levels to be similar. Yes, and otherwise, players with more energy will always feel like they are subsidizing those with less energy in terms of contribution. So imagine a player with 60 energy plays with a bunch of players only with 30 energy, and they'd feel frustrated. Yeah, I can be very fast to initiate to consume the energy to have a clear adventure, but the other ones are really slow. And if there are, but on the other side, if there are all players, they waste 60 energy. It takes only just over 2 days, and for all of them to accumulate 1200 energy consumption. However, on the other hand, when nine players are always the 60 energy, although they might get the adventure quickly, but the competition is is uh, is really very strong, and some players might only end up the ranking in the middle, yeah, in terms of rewards, because in about the adventure rule, the reward rule, yeah, after a multiplayer adventure, individuals' rewards are determined by one's damage ranking in that adventure. So the stronger your teammates are, the harder it is for one to stand out. Another similar point is about the differences in strength among the nine clans in the guild. If one clan has adventured 24 times, uh, and any other clan under the same guild only needs another one time of adventure to be eligible for the guild level adventure, right? And still, on the flip side, and this can also be a constraint. So this is only two examples on the clan level and on the guild level. So your neighbors are weak or strong. This is all about the self balancing.
Well, I think what I said earlier about co-opetition kind of can be cued again here. It's all about cooperation, but at the same time, as you cooperate to a certain level, you also have to think about the competition because at the end, this is like a dark forest. I felt like I'm talking about these things are very dark, but at the end, it's really just similar to one of my favorite book, Three Body Problems. Like you try to thrive and survive with by collaborating with a lot of peers in your world, but at the same time, you have to also be aware of people who are attacking from behind. So quite of interesting narrative here. And this time, you've also revealed the information about its strengths. Last time you said you cannot talk about it, and now you have it more clearly. So, can you discuss what's been articulated in this part and how the whole decision making process about strength came about?
Okay, because the because the structure of Guest Hero is somewhat complex, and determining the player's strength becomes a multi-dimension dimensional evaluation. And when players check each other's strengths, the process can become very complex. And another consideration, I think, is the evaluation of the guild master's achievements during running for district rep. And this is basically assessing the stress of a guild. So, how do we evaluate the stress of a guild? That is another question. And from all of this, based on these considerations, we designed this stress value, and which is the sum of the players' combined forces and the value of their home base. Essentially, the better a player's combined troops and the higher the level of their base, the more energy they have, and the more developed their skill tree, and the higher their strength.
All right, all right. And separately, I've seen that you've coined a new term, moon trades. I actually didn't quite get initially what it is. So can you maybe explain what does it mean and under what circumstances does moon trade occur?
Yeah, hmm, yeah. That is actually a play on words. So most of us have experienced the stepping, right? And in stepping, whenever there is an issue with the network during exercise, and it results in the moonwalk status, right? So in Guess Hero, whenever we cannot identify which in-game location the transaction should book to, we call it moon trade. There are three situations where a transaction is deemed as moon trade. The first one is the wallet used by the seller or buyer cannot uh, be matched to a player in the game. So, I mean, the wallet address is not recorded in the game. Yeah. And the second is the player's wallet hasn't, from his wallet, we found that player, but the player hasn't settled down. So, he don't have a specific location in the game. And the third one is the leadership position of the certain power level is missing in this player's settlement location. Yeah. So, uh, in summary, whenever a transaction occurs and it's unclear which officer should receive that tax, the tax will be recorded under the Moon Trade account and then be shared by the seven world elders.
You know what? I think there's also like a mirroring reflection inside the reality about this situation, but I don't want to mention it because it's a little bit gray. People who could have the imagination about this, you probably can think of it, but I'm not going to mention it. And then there's like a slightly controversial question that I'd like to ask Johnny and hear your take on. So you've always emphasized the impossible triangle of glory, power, and wealth. But looking at the roles, like guild masters, district chiefs seem to have significant influence over profit distribution. So, for instance, like in guild resource contests, if someone constantly competes with the guild master for the best items in the guild auction house, the guild master could potentially just use move item to kick that person out. How does gas hero mechanism balance the expansion of power at these points?
Yeah. In fact, I have seen some talks in the Discord this afternoon after the releasing of the Part 5 of the white paper. And yes, it's a very direct thought. When people think, oh, someone is competing with the guild master in the auction house, okay, kick him out. But let's have uh, some self-balancing talking. So the auction houses are designed for everyone, right? So why shouldn't there be competition? No. If I hold this opinion, Mabel, are you going to kick me out? Yeah. So
Depends on
okay.
how you perform, huh?
Let's see what will happen. However, if you do kick me out, I might spread the word about Mabel's dictatorship and warning others about joining your guild, right? And there is always a counterbalance, and maybe in the game or in the Twitter or in Discord. So this is a self balancing. If nobody want to join your guild, and how can you be a very good guild master and to elect to the district rep? And in fact, your guild will have lower and lower GDP. Yeah, so yeah, your leader is only have a name, don't have some benefits. Yeah. And on the other hand, let's see. If I am wrong, yeah, I do be kicked out and I moved to another guild, maybe it's built by Jerry, and but Jerry kicked me out again. And you kick me out again. Everyone kick me out again. I'm like a ball be kicked everywhere. And there will be many me in the game, right? So if with many guild masters like you, and there might not be enough move items to go around, right? You are all using the move items to kick people, and by that time, the move item will become very expensive. And will you still be able to afford to kick me out? So it's also some self-balancing talkings.
That's crazy. I think you need some durian shell. Um, okay, okay. I see. But it's a good answer. I think generally speaking, I think you were just saying that you're relying on the market's balance to make sure that, you know, things are going to come back in place. But I think at the end of the day, the reveal of, you know, the citizens about a leader is very important. Um, I think we have come to the last question of today. Oh, wow, you're actually quite right on time. So, Pep, many people were curious about if we would use a web app or anything. Johnny, can you talk about that now?
Yeah, I think the first step for us is to build the game based on browser version. Because on the browser version, everyone can play the game everywhere and on every device. Yeah, so that's very good for us to join the game, and maybe on the further steps we will try to have the app versions, but that will be a little difficult for the App Store and the Google Play to approve, I think. Um, but on the other side, okay, again on the other side, let's think about it. If I, if we only published the uh, App Store version, okay, I have one iPhone, and I play an account, but my dream is to have the entire entire guild filled with my sub accounts. I mean the 81 accounts, right? So I have to take 81 iPhones in my bag and to go anywhere. Yeah, and I think I will be crazy, but in browser version that will be easy to solve.
All right, finally. I hope people didn't feel too bad about for you because obviously Johnny is sick. So thank you so much for speaking so much today, even when you're sick. Definitely get well soon. At this time, I would like to announce the winners of this AMA, and thank you so much for being with us towards the end. There are three winners that are picked. I think I've already mentioned the criteria, but I would probably emphasize that again in order in case people forgot. So people who were selected, they have liked, retweeted, and followed Gas Hero at Gas Hero Official, and then they have joined the Twitter Space Live, and they have commented with their Gas Hero strategy. So the winners are at mi underscore YASNDS underscore JP. The second one is KEVTW underscore, and the third one is VARVANIC. So these winners, congratulations, and Gas Hero Official will reach out to you for details as well. Um, I'd say thank you so much again for joining us today. There's a lot more to unpack in the next two chapters that haven't been revealed, but I hope that you know this very dense AMA and also the white paper update can give you a lot to study. So thank you again, and thank you, Johnny.
Thank you. See you next month.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.